Good evening. This is Tom Stanley, State Representative from Waltham, and this is the Stanley Report. Tonight I have with us Commissioner of the DCR, Department of Conservation and Recreation for Massachusetts, Commissioner Lambert. Welcome.
Representative, it's good to be here with you.
Good to be here with you, too. I thought we'd just start out with telling the viewers a little bit about you. I know that you served in the legislature. You were also mayor of Fall River, and you're also on the school committee for over 20 years. Right. Could you tell me a little bit about that experience and how that's prepared you?
All that, and I'm only 157 years old.
Yeah, right.
I've been blessed with a great career in public service. I was a social worker early in my career, but served on the school committee in Fall River. Got elected when I was 21. Wow. Served there for some time. Ran for a seat in the legislature, and it's a great pleasure for me to have served there about 7 years, and then I was the mayor.
Great pleasure to get out too.
It was a great experience, and you know, as you know, you make some great relationships, and I certainly love the work, and then went on to be mayor of Fall River, and I have to tell you that there was some great opportunities to serve in that role as well. Taught for a little bit after that at UMass Dartmouth, and at the governor's request came here to DCR about 18 months ago, and just find this an incredible public agency. It's got a fingerprint in almost every city and town across the Commonwealth. It's a very diverse mission to protect, promote, and enhance our natural, cultural, and recreational resources, but most importantly, to do that in our Commonwealth. And our actual mission statement speaks about the Commonwealth as these assets that belong to everybody, and that's the most important thing, that these are public assets in all of our communities. They belong to the people of the Commonwealth, and it's all about improving their quality of life. So I know that we appreciate the support we've gotten from you, Representative, in the legislature and the local delegation from Waltham, but we take great pride in our mission, and are very appreciative of the opportunity to work in Waltham and elsewhere.
Thank you. Well, you're doing a wonderful job. As an elected official, you're always very responsive. You in your office, and we in the agency, we appreciate that. And that wasn't always the case going back a few years back with some of the other agencies. So we greatly appreciate it, how responsive you are to the taxpayers and to the elected officials that are here because of the taxpayers. I know you mentioned working with the state delegation, and I know, together with you, we also worked with Mayor McCarthy on a number of issues, and one of which was the renovation of the Connors Pool. It was a long time coming. The pool was shut down, I think, about 10 years ago, basically because the bathhouse was deteriorating, and you know, the recession, and just a lack of money on the state level, which is something that you're fighting with all the time, because your agency has so much responsibility and really not enough money to deal with everything. But you know, through a number of years, myself and the other members of the delegation, currently John Lawn, previously Peter Katoujian and Senator Fargo, we worked a number of years with your predecessor as well to get capital bond money approved for the renovation, and worked with Mayor McCarthy and as you know, some of the other city councils, Gary Marchese, Sally Kalura, and so forth. But maybe we could just talk a little bit about that whole process and the success story that it is.
Well, I think that you correctly put that timeline out there. I mean, it's unfortunate that there was this 10-year period that the community was without its own state public swimming pool. A lot of the state's swimming pools were constructed in the 50s and 60s, and over the course of decades, you know, without getting the tender loving care that they should have had, in some instances came to a state where they just couldn't operate safely. Governor Patrick wanted to change that, and got the help and support he needed from yourself and Sheriff Katoujian and Senator Fargo to get the money allocated in the capital budget, and then we were able to take it from there. It wasn't without a couple of bumps in the road, as you know. Sometimes when you start digging into these old facilities, you find things that don't need to be there or shouldn't be there.
And you have to be concerned about the public's health.
And the public's health comes first. And so you want a first-class, state-of-the-art facility. But I have to tell you that what happened at the Connors Pool is unique for DCR, and quite honestly, statewide in terms of it being not only a state-of-the-art facility, but DCR's first zero net energy facility. We were able to, with the installation of solar panels, create a situation where the footprint of that swimming pool facility uses no outside energy. It generates all its own energy and has the ability to create energy that brings DCR some additional revenue that allow us to be able to pay for operations elsewhere. And so it's a very unique partnership in that regard. I also want to credit Mayor McCarthy. The city stepped forward as a result of the early negotiations on this. And the city contributed $70,000 to the operation of the pool this past year. That doesn't cover 100% of it, but enough of it that it really helped our agency to be able to ensure first-class operation. And so there's a lot to recommend for all of these partnerships, but it did begin with the allocation of the funds that you worked very hard to secure along with the other members of the legislative delegation.
Yeah, and it really was a great collaborative effort through a number of different levels of state and local government and agencies and so forth. And it's a beautiful parcel of land right now, and before it was very, difficult to sometimes to drive by when the weeds were really high, and as we mentioned, it's very difficult to have all the money to keep up the maintenance and so forth, but right now it absolutely looks beautiful. And I went there when I was a kid, like, every elected official in Waltham did. Before my time it was the penny pool, and during my time it was the nickel pool. I'm not sure what it was called after that, but always also the Connors Pool after one of our former elected officials, a state senator from about 60 years ago. But it's absolutely beautiful, state-of-the-art facility, and I went there with my youngest a few times this summer, and it's great. So many people from Waltham that are using it, just they can't get. I'm fortunate enough to get down to the Cape once in a while, or go to Maine, or what have you. And a lot of people just, either can't afford it or just can't do it. And it's great that they have this facility.
I'm glad you mentioned that aspect of the facility specifically. I know the governor feels very strongly that he wants an agency like DCR to be value added in terms of increasing the quality of people's lives. And Lieutenant Governor Murray as well, who's a former mayor of Worcester, also understands how important these facilities are to local communities, families, working families. My family grew up as yours did, I'm sure, in a working class community. You don't always have the ability to, pick up and jet off to the Riviera. You need these places and communities where people can build memories, where they can recreate, where they can unwind. Hardworking people deserve that opportunity, and that makes this an important investment. But
and there's not many places where there's a zero entry pool. Some nice resorts have that, and for us to have it on the south side of Waltham, it's great for all the public to be able to enjoy. But there's also other examples of collaborative efforts between DCR and Waltham, and I know the ice hockey rink, which hundreds or thousands of Waltham residents enjoy, and also the Riverwalk. And I know your agency's done a lot to foster that type of things.
And there's more that we want to do. I mean, we understand, like every state agency, we've gone through some fiscal challenges, and everyone's been asked to tighten their belts. But hopefully that won't stop us from investing in these kinds of facilities. The partnership we have with the city on the hockey rink allows for public access time and have the rink operation pay for itself in a way that Waltham is able to run it and get some benefit as well. Walkways along the Charles and others are very important for us. Sometimes people just need an opportunity to, nurture their not only their physical health but their spirit as well. And these things cannot be taken for granted. They all come together to provide a great quality of life. So we're going to continue to work with cities and towns. Waltham has been great to work with. You and the delegation from Waltham have been amongst our biggest supporters in the agency in terms of trying to make sure that we've got the resources we need to do the job. And we'll keep doing that. We understand how important these places are.
And it brings up to mind when you mentioned the Charles River also the overgrown weeds. I know in the years past I was able to work with my colleagues, but also local advocates and concerned citizens in the Waltham, Newton area about trying to harvest all of these invasive species and to get rid of it. And we did a lot of great work with DCR and also these various advocacy groups for the Charles River, the Watershed Association and so forth. But then again, with the economy going down, things got really tight, and the weeds kind of got the upper hand again. But I'm pleased to report that DCR is once again helping the local concerned people to really get a handle on that again with grants and so forth.
We have a program called the Partnership Matching Grant Program, where organizations can come to us and we'll provide either a 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 match. And I know that we've just awarded recently a grant to one of the organizations out in that area to work on issues like milfoil, water chestnut, doing some of the mechanical harvesting that is hard work, and it's hard to stay ahead of, but these invasive species have the ability to ruin these natural resources, and it's central to our mission to protect those resources. So we want to try to keep our hands involved in that and work with some of our private partners.
Because it's really amazing when you're out on the, it's called the Lakes region in Waltham, Newton area in the Charles River, and you're out there in a canoe or a boat, and you swear that you'd be out somewhere in northern New England enjoying a nice day. Yep. It's so beautiful. But that brings up another point of how really how good tax dollars being spent in terms of the state agency DCR working so closely with these advocacy groups who really consist of a lot of hardworking people that have a lot of knowledge in different areas, whether it's different parts of the environment or the Charles River or what have you. And your agency has really worked well with the private sector, so to speak, or nonprofits, through the years. But through this past year in particular, we've heard a lot in the news of the Nemesis mosquitoes, the Tripoli and the Nile virus. Can you talk a little bit about that, and should citizens still be concerned?
Well, they should be concerned, although we're slowly coming to the point in the season where hopefully after the first couple of significant frosts we'll be out of this potential danger period. But this has been a very challenging year statewide. I think the incidence of the virus and or infected mosquitoes has been significantly higher than in past years. A lot of folks feel that that's due to the weather cycle that we're in, that made it warmer earlier in the year, and therefore the mosquito population was much higher. DCR plays a role in all of this. We have a seat on the State Reclamation Board, which essentially oversees mosquito control programs in the various counties. And there's been a significant increase in the authorization for both ground and aerial spraying across the Commonwealth. But ultimately, it's about people taking precautions to protect themselves. I know that working with our partners at the State Department of Public Health, we attempted as much as possible to do some education around these issues, particularly in the hours near dusk, that folks should consider if they're in a highly impacted community. Maybe curtailing activities in that last hour of sunlight, and covering up and using insect repellent, and making sure that you don't have areas of exposed skin. Those things are really important. The best protection against contracting Tripoli or West Nile from an infected mosquito is to take your own personal precautions to ensure that you're doing everything you can to limit your exposure to mosquitoes, particularly at that time of day.
Right. You mentioned earlier about all the various, it's a wide variety of towns that DCR is involved with. Can you just maybe mention a few examples of parks or whatnot?
It really is amazing that how much property is in the state DCR portfolio, and the quality of these properties. We talked about some of the properties in Waltham. Almost the entire Charles River corridor, to some extent, fits into, in various ways, shapes and forms, into the DCR portfolio. The Esplanade here in Boston. Right. The state's beaches, when you look at a place like Revere Beach, which is the oldest public beach in the country, which is in our portfolio, as is Salisbury and Horseneck Beach Reservation, Mount Wachusett, Mount Greylock, the Boston Harbor Islands. There's an incredible array, not to mention, by the way, Walden Pond, which is so central to environmental activism in our country. So these are incredible properties where we encourage folks to understand that they own them.
Right.
The taxpayers own them, the residents own them, and that they're there for folks to use, and that they should go out and use them to the extent that they can. You've got, you know, close to Waltham, you've got the Blue Hills Reservation, the Middlesex Fells Reservation. These are properties that our forebears had the foresight to preserve, and now our job is to be good stewards of them, and you know, and get outdoors. You know, my family wasn't particularly an outdoorsy family, but I was the oldest of 5 boys,
Right.
and you know, sooner or later you do drive your parents sufficiently crazy that they pile you in the station wagon,
Right.
and they drive us up Route 24 from Fall River, and they let us loose on the Blue Hills so we can climb the Blue Dot Trail or wherever it is. But you know, working families create these very special memories. You know,
Yeah.
whether it's camping at Miles Standish State Forest, going to Horseneck Beach, you know, traipsing up the Blue Hills.
And they're affordable.
They're
I mean,
affordable,
if not free in
and
many cases,
our
right?
job is to continue to try to provide public access. In many, if not most instances, they are free or very low cost, with the whole notion being that we want people to be able to experience these, no matter where they live, no matter where they come from, no matter their walk in life, no matter the financial troubles that they're having. I mean, in this recent economy, where families have really been buffeted, and maybe 2-income families are down to 1 income, or in many instances a half an income, kids in these families are still growing up. They still need activities.
Right.
They still need a place to go, and these provide great outlets and safety valves for families to still be able to say, we can go have a great time
Right.
this weekend, in spite of the fact that you know, business is slow. You know, we pack a lunch
Right.
and go to one of these great locations. The view from atop Mount Wachusett, which families can,
Prospect Hill in Waltham.
or
It's a city
any of
on.
these places, but you know, where you can drive up for free and have a picnic, and
Right.
you know, and see 4 states around you, and
Yeah.
those are the kinds of things that young kids in particular never forget. So we think we have a very sacred trust in providing good stewardship of these properties, and you know, with the support that we've gotten from you and so many others in the legislature, as well as the governor, we hope to continue to do that.
And I look forward to that. I know, you know, my friend Representative Bruce Ayers from Quincy, and also Senator Rush from West Roxbury are also spearheading, and I'm working with them, spearheading the Parks Caucus,
That's right.
if you will, to try to fight for and advocate for DCR and obtaining more money and so forth to be able to maintain and do all the things that the public wants DCR to be able to do. Well, I've been doing a little bit of my share of using some of the parks. I was tubing and fishing in Boston Harbor.
Oh, yeah.
And of course I fell into the harbor, and I tell you, it was very clean and refreshing.
We don't encourage that, but
No,
you know,
no,
as
no.
long
I lost my sunglasses, so if you find any. But the parks are absolutely beautiful. Not many people get to use, but it's again very affordable and a great resource. And or Nickerson Park down in the Cape.
oh, sure, yeah.
Is another great, you know, place to, not being an outdoorsman myself. I've tried to go on a few hikes. And, it's really a nice, healthy thing to do.
We've got, if folks go to our website, you just, you know, look up this Massachusetts Department of Conservation and Recreation. They can get a list of every single one of our properties. They can get a list of all of the activities that can be done on any one of our properties. You can get lists of trails, and those trails are categorized by easy, medium,
Wow.
serious. And so folks, if they just kind of want you know, a short, heart-healthy walk, can find places where they do that. And a lot of our trails are marked as heart-healthy trails. So if you go to one of our places, you can actually follow the signage and participate that way.
Now, does the state, if the state doesn't do this already, maybe we should, is there any kind of a contest to be able to go to touch, you know, all of these different various parks and so forth? Or?
You have read my mind.
Oh.
We have our annual passport
Yeah.
contest, and we've just recently wrapped it up, but we started every spring. And folks can get information about that online as well or through your office representative. And in fact, what we'll do is we'll make sure that for next year we get you a series of the passport booklets.
Oh, great.
And these little passport booklets list all the properties in different regions. And we have passport stamps at these different facilities to show that you've been there. So whoever is able to go, if a family or whatever is able to go and get their passport stamped at each one of these, they have the ability to win our contest at the end of the year. And a lot of families participate, and I think, in fact, for 2 years running, the same family won. So it's a great opportunity for folks to kind of make it their mission, and let's say in a particular season, to say they want to get out at every facility and get to experience these great properties.
Well, you know, utilizing the children is always a good idea because they love to get stamps and things like that, and they'll probably be pushing the parents to do all these different things, get outside, ride a bike, you know, take a swim, and whether it's the harbor or a lake down the Cape or someplace like that. Yep. But, well, thank you very much.
Rep, thank you very much, and thanks for your leadership in terms of supporting our agency. We were able to, this year, get some new tools from the state in terms of retaining some of our revenue, and I had an opportunity to meet with you a couple of times on it, and you showed some great leadership on this issue in the House, and we're very appreciative of that and appreciative of your support, and we hope to be able to show that in the quality of the work that we do in Waltham and your district.
Thank you. Before we close out, maybe there's a wide variety also of responsibilities that you guys have as well. I mean, you have a lot of roads you have to take care of, right?
It's hard for people to realize but we have about 500 miles of roadway. In Greater Boston in particular, we manage the parkways, so Storrow Drive, Morrissey Boulevard, the Revere Beach Parkway, and a lot of other thoroughfares that folks have felt should not be in the transportation portfolio, but in a parks and recreation portfolio because they have some historic significance. There's some particular way of landscaping that keep these places looking great, and we do that very well. We also oversee and have responsibility of oversight of all of the state's dams, so we do that. We also manage the Quabbin and Wachusett reservoirs, which so many communities rely on.
Yeah, Waltham gets their water from the Quabbin.
For drinking water, so we manage that property.
We also have a dam.
Yes, that's right. And we've got about 500,000 acres of property. We do forest health as well. We have a forestry division. And pedestrian bridges in and across the Commonwealth. So there's a pretty significant job the agency has. But I have to say that there are some incredible people working here at the agency, folks who have been here for, in many instances, decades, and they get into the business because they wanted to try to make people happy. And our job is to hopefully not say no when folks come to us, but to be able to say yes and get things done. So.
Well, it sounds like we should wrap up this interview because you have a lot of responsibilities to take care of. I'm sure Governor Patrick wants you to be on top of everything. So again, thank you so much for
Rep, thank
your
you
time.
very much. Thanks for everything.
Yep.
Pleasure.
And this is another episode of the Stanley Report.